and duplication and understanding. I need a volunteer from the audience. Kelly, you mind? Hand over here, please. Brought a tennis ball to do this with, but sometimes you have to innovate if you forgot to bring the ball in. Okay, very good. Very good. So in this case, good. In this case, I was cause. Distance was the space in between Kelly and I. She was the effect. Now, when she threw the bottle back to me, she was cause, distance, and I was the effect. That would be a two-way communication. So when I first threw her the bottle, she didn't catch it. So that would be a breakdown in communication, because the idea or the impulse traveled across the distance, but it didn't quite arrive at the effect point. Kind of fell down. So we're going to do one more sample here. Hello, Kelly. How are you?
Good, Larry. How are you?
I'm good too. Thank you very much. All right, this was an example of effective two-way communication. My idea got across to Kelly. I had my intention of her receiving it. My attention was on her to see if she received it. And by her reply, I could tell that she had received that communication. And then she became the cause point. She asked me how I was doing. And so we had an effective two-way communication here. Thanks, guys. It's the second time I've used Kelly as an example in my speeches, so she's a good sport about that. Now, there's a lot of ways that this formula can break down. One obvious one would be volume. If I don't speak loud enough for Kelly to hear me, which she may have demonstrated by the bottle falling, the communication kind of arrived there, but she didn't really duplicate it because she didn't hear it. Another way that the communication could break down is they don't understand you. Maybe I'm speaking in French and my person I'm trying to communicate to is speaking Italian. So obviously she could hear me, but she couldn't understand it. And the whole formula for the communication is cause, distance, effect, with intention and attention on both parts, with duplication and understanding. Another way that could break down is they don't understand a word you said. One time I gave the example of a date that I went on one time. And I went into the lady's house for coffee. I see some smiles. Do you remember that one? And I wanted to kiss her. So I asked her for some sugar. I had never used that expression before, but I understood that to mean a kiss. I've actually seen it on TV where the guy says, "How about some sugar?" and she comes over and gives him a little kiss. Well, this lady had a totally different definition for that. And became rather upset. So I had a communication breakdown at that point because I chose the wrong word. Wasn't really my fault, she didn't know the definition. Another way of a two-way communication can fail is, I'll give you an example. I worked with a guy by the name of Nick Vogaias one time. And Nick was an interesting guy. He engaged me in conversation. And almost right away, I wanted to say something back to him. But he kept coming at me. He was an outflow machine. Anybody know anybody like that? You have a tough time getting in a word edgewise. Yeah. Nick was an outflowing machine. And after I had about 3 or 4 things I wanted to say, pretty soon I didn't want to say them anymore. In fact, when I saw Nick coming, I would usually head the other way because I didn't want to be constantly inflowing whatever he had to say. So again, that communication formula: cause, distance, effect, with intention and attention on both parts, with duplication and understanding. L. Ron Hubbard stated that communication is the universal solvent. So even if you get into trouble, like I did by communicating, the answer is further communication. So fellow Toastmasters, dignitaries, and guests, I hope that you can use this material in your communication, not just communicating to a group, but communicating to your family, to your co-workers, and to your friends. Phantom Contest Master.